At Cambridge, they don't just race. They make the clock sweat. Every year, this joint gets quicker. Every year, the numbers get uglier. Records? Records don't live long around here. They come here to die.
The legend of Larry's landed in New Zealand and he's got the race by Betcha. Absolutely smashes the New Zealand record.
This has become the night where time gets taken apart. And now we come back for another round, another fight, another chance to take what matters. Because the king is back.
He's lifting, it's Leap to Fame. Oh my goodness me, what a horse.
Leap to Fame returns. Back across the Tasman, back to defend the money, back to defend the crown. Last year he came over here, broke Kiwi hearts, took the cash and walked out like he owned the place. This year there's a line of hungry ones waiting for him. This ain't no royal parade. This is war under lights. The janitor is here, ready to clean the whole damn thing out. Swayze brings the power, the swagger, the kind of muscle that makes the others look twice. Kingman, he's walked in like the crown's already his. Republican Party is ready to make a late charge when the pressure's highest. And then there's Merlin, because every big night needs a little magic.
The magic of Merlin, he's got the race by grins.
Akuta brings the fire. We walk by faith. Well, Friday night, they might need every ounce of it. And then we go to the TAB Trot. And let me tell you something, this might be her kingdom now.
But it is Keayang Zahara. What a mare. She is a superstar and she has killed them.
Keayang Zahara rolls in like royalty. Silverware stacked to the ceiling. A reputation that gets into the room before she does. But don't you dare count out Oscar Bonavina. The old warrior, still dangerous, still proud, still more than capable of ruining the party. Big names, fast times, serious money, and when the lights go out, somebody leaves Cambridge a whole lot richer. Night of Champions, Friday night, Cambridge. Be there when the champions are crowned.
Sometimes it's a bit of a cliche when you say a race meeting is thrilling, but I can assure you one thing, on Friday night at Cambridge Raceway, it is going to be just that. Welcome to the box seat, 90 minutes ahead on our Night of Champions special. Looking forward to having your company. We've got people all over the show here tonight. We've got a couple of people with me here in the studio though. Our usuals, Greg O'Connor and Brittany Graham are with us. Britt, your second time working for Trackside at the Night of Champions. Where's the last 12 months gone?
I know, isn't it crazy? But it has been so exciting and full of action. This time last year, New Zealand was waiting and hoping to see Leap to Fame, and I think wondering what all the fuss was about. Well, I think they found out fairly quickly, and I'm hoping that we're going to see much of the same this coming Friday night. But we're not missing any of the big guns when it comes to that $1 million feature. And Zahara, well, she's back, and we know what she did last time.
Greg, I know you're a harness racing purist and you just cannot beat seeing that sort of horseflesh on a racecourse.
No, certainly not. Matthew, hi to you, Brittany, everyone at home. 5th edition of this, what has become a great race. And Brittany's absolutely right. Every single horse you want to be in this year's edition is there. The barrier draw is going to be absolutely crucial and intriguing. Can't wait to unpick it once we announce it very shortly.
All right, that's coming right up here on the box seat. We're going to do a couple of things before we give you the all-important barrier draw. We've got Matt Markham, who's joining us from the TAB Bookies desk. Matt, I guess it's a case for you guys with the Trot of shaping the market, knowing that Keayang Zahara is going to draw well no matter what, but the pace might be a totally different story. Looking forward to having you part of the show.
Yeah, hi to you, Matt, and to both Greg and Brittany. Really excited about Friday night. Look, you're right. One market, that being the one for the TAB Trot, probably isn't going to come as a surprise to anyone, no matter what happens in the barrier draw reveal. But the barrier draw for the Race by Sport Nation is full of intrigue when it comes to what the market is going to look like. Those barrier draws are going to be crucial. Looking forward to being able to talk through those markets among the plethora of other options that are going to be available on the Night of Champions, Matt. And just a bit of news too For punters that are looking to get involved early, you won't find the 2 races we're about to reveal in the race date on tab.co.nz. You'll find them on the Futures tab for the next couple of hours until they're inputted into the Harness Racing New Zealand system.
Great work, Matt. Thank you. Looking forward to that. And I'm picking we might well need a Keayang Zahara out market. So we might just leave you there and let you work on that while we carry on here on the show. Michael Guerin is at Cambridge Raceway. Michael, a night that I know that you look forward to very much, as do the club that you're at the moment. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, hi Matt, big hi to you and all those watching around Australasia, of course, some of our friends from Australia joining us on the YouTube channel. Welcome to Cambridge, the Night of Champions home, and maybe Mini Australia. There's been 6 slot races run here over the last 4 years. Every single winner has been owned in Australia. Will they be trained in Australia, or against the market, can the Kiwis fight them off this Friday? Wet Waikato day today. Nick Blundell was the chief executive at Cambridge. Nick, looks like it's going to be better on Friday from the weather report, so we're hoping for better stuff.
Definitely due to clear up. A little bit of cloud happening on Friday, and this rain will be good for the track leading in.
Okay, Drax Project are going to be here. We are going to have some of the great horses in the harness racing world here. How many people are we going to have here?
Huge amount of, been a huge surge in uptake of tickets, close to 2,000 at the moment. Drax has been a huge draw card, and obviously the racing as well. So hopefully a few more Kiwi winners than you would like.
Good luck for Friday.
Thank you very much.
That's Nick. As we head back to you, Matt, amazing stats when you think of this track and how it's usually perceived to be a leader's track. Of those 6 slot races we've mentioned, only 2 winners have come from against the marker pegs. Who's going to be against those marker pegs? Well, we'll find out shortly. $1 million for the Pacers, the race by Sport Nation, and $530,000 for the TAB Trot. Just around the corner. Matt, back to you for those reveals.
All right, we'll join you shortly. Michael, Greg, we're going to pass things over to you to introduce our slot holders for the race by Sport Nation.
Yeah, well, it's been well supported, and the pacing section has been sold for quite some time. Here they are. All Stars Racing, Chris Ryder, have opted for a Cooter. Craig Whiteoak, the owner of the Janitor, has his slot, as does Dennis and Mark Dunford with We Walk by Faith. Of course, we have the Emergency, Sooner the Better. Harness Link with his horse, Kingman, the winner of the IRT New Zealand Cup. Montana Park Limited is Merlin, a previous winner of the race. N40 Racing with Republican Party, Rakiro Racing with Swayze, Rampant Pty Limited, Captain's Knock, Solid Earth, who of course own Kevin and Kay Seymour with Leap to Fame, and Stonewall Stud have ended up with a better knuckle up, giving the Barry Purdon and Scott Phelan team a strong hand.
Okay, we've got an 8-3 configuration for this year's barrier draw. There will be one emergency amongst the 11 horses. Let's kick things off. We're going to start down the bottom with barrier number 11, the first horse out, and it's better knuckle up for the Stonewall Stud team. A great combination of Barry Purdon, Scott Phelan and Tony Hurley. He, of course, won the Velocity back in 2024 and was close up behind Kingman in last year's IRT New Zealand Trotting Cup. Barrier number 10, it'll be a big night for Craig Whiteoak. Chantel Turpin and Pete McMullen, the Janitor, will draw to the second row. After his run last Friday at Cambridge, he's certainly going to be a big player. We'll talk shortly about him. Barrier number 9, inside second row for Akuta, the All Stars Racing and Chris Ryder slot. Auckland Cup Derby, 2 derbies in fact next to his name. A quality horse on his day. We'll find out who he's going to follow out very shortly. What about who's drawn the outside of the gates? It is last year's IRT New Zealand Trotting Cup winner Kingman. Beaten in the Miracle Mile. He's been back to the trials since then. Luke McCarthy, big race driver, big race trainer, has the task of overcoming the race by Sport Nation from the outside of the gate. Inside of him will be the horse that needs no introduction, Leap to Fame. The horse has conquered all before him so far. Horse of a generation that some have labelled him. Another driver with a task at a barrier number 7, likely to come into 6 with the emergency coming out. Barrier number 6, We Walk by Faith for Dennis and Mark Dunford. He was as good as anything through the line last Friday night. Hayden and Amanda Cullen get their chance at the race by Sport Nation with Blair Orange aboard. Barrier number 5 will be the emergency, and that emergency is sooner the better. If, on the off chance he did get a start, he's sure to give a great sight. But for now, he's on the ballot at ballot 1. 4 remain. Barrier number 4 is Republican Party, looking to regain his form from the end of last year. For the N40 racing slot, the Dalgettis looking for somewhat of a form reversal on his last couple. We're down to 3. Barrier number 3 is Merlin, the 2024 winner. He was 3rd in 2025. Can he use his gate speed to throw the cat amongst the pigeons at the start? We'll analyse that shortly. And then there were 2. Barrier number 2 is Swayze for Akiro Racing. What an interesting race this is shaping up to be so far in the barrier draws. Cam Hart with a great gate, 2-time New Zealand Trotting Cup winner. Swayze off barrier 2, and that means captain's knock for the rampant PTY Limited team, who went close last year with the locomotive in the TAB Trot, has gate number 1. So there you have it. The exclusive barrier draw for the race by Sport Nation. Kingman draws the outside, Leap to Fame and 7, both likely to come in one spot if Better Knuckle Up does come out. The janitor, Brittany Graham, draws 2 on the second row, following out Swayze. What's your initial reaction to what you just saw?
A lot to take in, isn't there? And when you look at that race, poor old Leap to Fame is drawn wide again, as he so often does. In saying that, he actually started wider last year when he was able to overcome barrier draw number 7. He'll, as you've mentioned, likely move in one position and start from 6th this time around. For those who've drawn poorly, this is probably not what you want to hear, but I think this is the barrier draw this race really needed. We know that Swayze has managed to lead and beat Leap to Fame on 3 occasions. I'm sure he's going to be trying to do the same again.
Winners and losers for you, Greg?
Obviously, captain's knock, barrier 1. He has enough speed to hold probably Swayze early on. Merlin, I think he can leave the gate very, very quickly. And off the back row, Akuta, worst case scenario, 3 back on the fence. That's exactly the spot he needed to be. Confidence last time, I think they would have gained a little bit. He wasn't too bad in the mile last week. I thought he was hitting the line fair enough. Better Knuckle Up, obviously a huge loser there.
All right, Matt Markham, Leap to Fame, draws 1 from the outside here. He was the pre-draw favourite. What's happened after?
He's $2.30, still your favourite, Matt. Look, anywhere on the front line was going to be a decent enough draw for Larry and our eyes, so we've enlisted him as a $2.30 favourite. What might be a surprise to some is the janitor, $3 second favourite off the second row, follows through on the back of Swayze at $4.20. Look, if there's anything that I can tell you, historically, that $4.20 for Swayze will not hold up. Traditionally, the punters get involved with the Cameron Hart-Jason Grimson combination. They will with Swayze from that good barrier draw. He'll start closer to around $3.50, I would imagine. Best of the Kiwi chances, we walk by faith at $21, Merlin $26, and Republican Party, who at one stage was second favourite for this race in futures trading, now a $31 chance, Matt.
Brittany Graham, we're going to go straight to you. We will analyse the race runner by runner shortly, but time to move on to the TAB Trot, and you're going to introduce our slot holders.
Yes, 7 runners in this year's edition of the TAB Trot. The 3rd running of this race. It has been utterly dominated so far by the Australians, with Just Believe in 2024 and RC Phoenix in 2025. They have a very strong hold on this contest again, but let's go through these slot holders, with Cullen Breeding taking Meant to Be, the new kid on the block, a 4-year-old who's taking this next big step. The emergency, which will be drawn in the field, will be Bounce and Beyond. Keayang Farms, they've opted with Keayang Zahara, whereas Lavargue Racing, Jillaby Ballerini, that of course the Lee and Craven families. Mark Purdon and Chris Ryder with Oscar Bonavina. Rampant were hoping to have the locomotive there, but they've taken Uriah Dahl as his replacement. Ross Patrick, who owns and races Gus and Yabby Dam Farms, I'm sure a very proud moment for them to have their mare Belnege representing them.
I love that Glenn Holland's come back for more and not only gone for the 1 slot in the Trot, but supported it with both. So here's hoping that Uriah Dahl can run a big race. Time now to introduce your draw. We're going to go wide out and back in. Barrier number 8. Well, he was a southerner to start with. Now he's a Queenslander. The horse that started with Nathan Williamson won his maiden at Winton before he was shipped over under his ownership to Ross Patrick in Australia, and he's taken all before him, particularly in the last few months, winning both of our features here during New Zealand Cup week. Gus will draw the outside of the gates. Barrier number 7, the big kid, who is now a man. After his victory in the Lyle Creek Stakes, he'll go in the Cullen breeding slot. They unfortunately, Muscle Mountain going amiss, but he's a pretty decent replacement. Meant to be, draws barrier 7. Barrier number 6, the horse who's back for a little bit of redemption after what happened at the start last year, Oscar Bonavina. He might be 10 years of age. Is there one more big win in the old fella? He's got barrier 6. Gate number 5. Here's the emergency, Bouncin' Beyond. He, of course, has won a couple of pretty decent races on his way up. At the moment, he's on the sideline on the ballot from barrier number 5. Now we go to the girls. Barrier number 4 is Jillaby Ballerini, who's been the bridesmaid to her stablemate Star on many occasions, but herself, she has a pretty stunning record. She will be drawing outside of the other 3 mares in the race. Barrier number 3 is your right Dale, the $8,000 weanling, who's now running for $530,000. She'll go in Glen Holland slot. John Dunn aboard, and she has gate number 3. 2 remain. Barrier number 2. Can they beat her? Keayang Zahara, the unstoppable mare for the Lee and Craven families. And the Margaret and Paddy Lee trained runner looks nigh on unstoppable. She's only ever been beaten once out of 28 starts. And barrier 1 for the Abbeydown Farms team. Great to have Pat Driscoll a part of the TAB Trot. Crystal Hackett from Michelle Wallace and Bernie Hackett. She's guaranteed to get a pretty decent trip, and she will have barrier number 1. We always knew, Britt, that Keayang Zahara was going to draw somewhere between 1 and 4. Nothing to cry about drawing barrier 2.
To be honest, I think it's perfect, Matt, for her. 1 would have put pressure on. 2, she's straight there in the running line, and it gives Jason Lee all of the options in the world. I'm not sure how much further she could shorten, but if she could off the back of that barrier draw, it wouldn't surprise me if she does. Poor old Gus drawing out there. He was going to sort of draw 5, 6 or 7, but from 7, coming in from 8, it's going to be really, really hard for him. I know we're going to talk about these runners and break it apart shortly, but Oscar Bonavina drawing there, I'd love to see him just run the race of his life and be really bold, but no real surprises. We kind of knew where they were going to sit.
Be a great yarn if Oscar got up.
Yeah, wouldn't it be? He's just been a remarkable racehorse, Matthew, and I'm sure he'll go a great race again. Not sure the old legs will be able to match it with the superstar that is Keayang Zahara. Don't mind where your right Dale's drawn. I expect John Dunn, aggressive driver. He might have a crack at getting to the markers first. And of course, we know with Belniche, Crystal's going to have to be a little bit careful with her because you got on the chewy last time. So, yeah, nothing really major to come out of the TAB Trot.
All right, Matt Markham, she has been the favourite right the way through. Is there any adjustment, or are you sticking relatively the same around Keayang Zahara?
Yeah, we're going to stick relatively the same here, Matt. Look, we've reopened her at $1.05 quote from barrier 2. No surprises there for anyone, really. I think the only major change we may have seen to this market had Gus drawn barrier 5. He might have been maybe half the price he is from the outside draw there at 12s. Belniche at $15. We're expecting her to get a nice run on the markers, and just offering up a little bit of meat to the bone on the Oscar Bonavina chances for his fans out there, Matt. If the $1.05 is not for punters sitting at home looking at this market, stay tuned, because we're going to have some special markets for you to play into that might be a little bit more appealing later on in the show.
You're working on that market, aren't you, Matt? That Keayang Zahara market out. We'll leave you there. You might just need a few more minutes to get that one sorted and try and find a favourite in the KZ out market. Okay, you are watching the Box Seats Night of Champions special. We're going to head to a break. As we do, let's go behind the scenes. Last Thursday night at Cambridge Raceway with Team Turpin McMullen.
I think I love Gus more than you. I'll have to put it back on properly though to walk in, yeah. It's starting to cool off. 11 minutes. Have fun.
1 mile for the Group 2 Waikato Trotters Flying Mile. Green light and racing. Final 400 metres now and back on the inside. Hillbilly Blues now up ahead. Empire City went for a gallop, so that's pushed Gus out 5 and 6 wide.
Oh, no.
Gus is moving up on the outside. Johnny Who, the outside, is in front. He leads by 3. Gus is coming strongly. It's Johnny Who. He's out on tired legs. Cue now the Jaws music, because here comes Gus and he gets him right on the line. Gus over Johnny Who.
Oh, that's good. That pays for the trip.
Oh, the win wasn't.
No.
We just go and win for fun and then.
Thank you.
Group 2 Waikato Pacers Flying Mile, green light and go. Coming out nicely, sooner the better, do you want me? And the janitor's got the back. Merlin goes for home, sooner the better. The janitor now comes strongly up on the outside. Merlin, sooner the better, the janitor. Merlin, sooner the better's coming on the inside. And the janitor, sooner the better. The janitor up on the outside. And the janitor by a half ahead. The janitor following.
You can go. Oh.
Well done, guys.
Thank you.
I told you he would, Mum.
Oh my God, my phone hasn't stopped.
Get your bet on with a Friday Night Lights bonus back. Back a horse to win in selected harness races. And if it runs second or third, get up to $50 bonus cash back. R18, bet responsibly.
Greatness doesn't begin at the finish line.
It's going to be a miracle three-peat.
It starts here in the quiet of dawn, passed down through generations. You don't find greatness, you raise it every single day.
Meant to be, you'll get the derby. Bet win for the Road Cup. Better twist, what a champion she is.
Brecon Farms, where world-class families create elite performers.
Betcha is giving you the advantage on the trots this week with our Bet Back tool. Activate it in your toolbox, and if your horse finishes second or third, get up to $50 back in bonus cash. How good? Bet it out. R18, bet responsibly.
The Box Seat, brought to you by Brecon Farms.
Race by Betcha for 2025 and the green lights there. Let the fireworks begin. As they went through the lead time and 40 seconds need as they turn off the back. And Don Hugo with Luke McCarthy leads by a length. Merlin's moved to the leader's wheel and now Leap to Fame. He wants a bit of the action as well to join the party. Don Hugo, Leap to Fame on the outside. 2 lengths Merlin for the TFS Horse Transport passing lane. Then Chase a Dream, top of the home straight. Leap to Fame's got to Don Hugo. 2 lengths Merlin down the outside. Chase a Dream, it's Leap to Fame in front by 2. Chase a Dream's the danger down the outside. Leap to Fame, the legend of Larry's landed in New Zealand and he's got the race by Betcha. And Leap to Fame, 50 career successes, and what a way to bring it up. Ladies and gentlemen, we've been waiting a long time to see this horse in New Zealand. He hasn't let us down, the son of Better's Delight. Leap to Fame, Larry the legend. What a win.
But I never thought that you would take it this far. What do I know?
And that partnership there, Grant and Trista Dixon, it seems to be never ending for them, Brittany. They're just on this constant wave of pressure relief. And $5 or $6 million later, it's been pretty worth it.
It sure has. You kind of hope at this point that they can enjoy the success of Leap to Fame a little more, but when there's another $1 million task on the table this week, I'm pretty sure the pressure will be there once more.
And a bit more pressure now that they've seen the barrier draw, no doubt. He's going to draw one from the outside, likely to come in to barrier number 6 with if the emergency does come out, sooner the better. Obviously, if something underneath of Leap to Fame comes out, then he will remain in barrier number 7. As Matt Marker mentioned, $2.30. They're happy to keep the janitor very safe at $3 and Swayze off barrier 2 at $4.20. Michael Guerin, what do you make of that?
Well, first of all, Matt, I'm absolutely stunned the Janitors at $3. That's incredible, really, from the second line. He might start $6. So they've got that wrong, but that's okay because, as Matt mentioned, Swayze will come in. We don't have a lot of the Australians here tonight. Most of those big names we're talking about are in Sydney on their way to the airport, and then they are flying over tonight. So very shortly they're coming in, but one of them is here, Brad Hewitt, who trains and drives Captain's Knock. And Brad, great to have you back here, mate. Things didn't go your way with the barrier draws last year with the locomotive. They've gone your way tonight. Barrier 1 for Captain's Knock. I'll make this nice and simple. What do you do?
Yeah, well, he's obviously got great speed mix, so yeah, we'll be coming out as hard as we can, and yeah, just sort of a bit tricky outside us who's going to be there first, but yeah, I'm happy to be holding as long as we have to until Leap to Fame or either Swayze get there. There's going to be no lead there for anything else.
Okay, so if a Leap to Fame or a Swayze gets to you first, would you consider taking a trail? Because, of course, there is a passing lane here at Cambridge.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. You sort of got a free shot, so yeah, it'd be silly to be going to war. But yeah, just it's racing, one of those things. Like they might not be there until sort of after 600 or 800. So I'm happy enough to be holding until we see what happens.
Okay, I'll play scenarios with you here. What say Merlin gets out in front of Swayze and he comes knocking for the lead? Is it no to the Kiwis?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the Aussies are in sort of a lot better form at the minute. No, respectfully, but I think we're well and truly as good as any of the Kiwis at the minute.
Okay, if you are trailing Swayze and Leap to Fame is outside him, as Britt mentioned earlier, under those scenarios, Swayze has beaten Leap to Fame in 2 Hunter Cups and a Black's a Fake. Who do you think's the better winning chance under that scenario while you're sitting behind them watching?
It's one of the things. I think being back to 2200 is a great leveler. Over 26, 2700, them two horses really come into their own. But in saying that, Swayze sat outside us at Bathurst 2 or 3 months ago and he couldn't beat us. So, I think the 2200 makes a lot sort of better race and closer finish. So if that's how it did work out, I'd be interested to see what does happen late. But how do you sort of ridicule Leap to Fame? He's just a champion, so he's definitely got the wood on everyone.
You went oh so close to winning the $1 million Carnival of Cups bonus at Penrith last time out. Is Captain's not going to be a better horse here on Friday night? Because I know you had to half look after him to get him to Penrith at all, and he probably wasn't quite at his peak.
Yeah, for sure. He's been sort of no secret. He's had a few issues, but he's been really good since. Got him looked at it again a couple of weeks ago, and it's the best he's sort of been in the last sort of few months. And I've actually really screwed him down. We've got nothing to lose now, so I've screwed him down in between. And I think we'll see a lot better horse again here on Friday night.
Can Captain's Knock win the race by Sport Nation?
Well, we've got a fighting chance, drawn 1. We're going to get a great run, hopefully. So, we're in with a chance, and it's just there's no doubt, and it's going to be really tough. But if we get things work out and get the right sort of trip, then who knows?
Mate, good luck.
Good on you, mate.
That's, of course, Brad Hewitt. Most of the Australians aren't here. Spoke to Grant Dixon yesterday. He said, we'd like barrier 3. Well, once again, Grant hasn't got what he wanted out of a barrier draw. Will he get what he wants on Friday night, Matt? By the way, Brad Hewitt's got a pretty good support team. Glenn Holland, who's a slot holder, of course, and the owner of the locomotive, and the man who trained and drove Joe Fess to win the Inter-Dominions. Remember Joe Fess? Darren Hancock is in the house here too. So some Australians are here. The rest arriving tonight. We'll be talking to them over the next few days. And, of course, more on Trackside, Matt, on Friday night.
Yeah, that's the big key, and great to get that. Good bit of chat there from Brad Hewitt, and we might have to make a wee deal with it. If he wins the race by Sport Nation, he has to bring Hollywood Strip over later. I'm just going to keep going on about that all year. Great banter though, Britt. We love to hear it.
Absolutely. We need it, don't we, to pump up these races. And I love that positive can-do attitude from Brad Hewitt. He's going in with a plan. It hasn't taken him long to decipher that plan or put it in place. He has only 2 horses that he wants to see the helmet of. They're 2 pretty nice horses to follow, though.
All right, Leap to Fame is our first horse in our runner-by-runner section. He is just a champion. There's no other words to describe him. Greg O'Connor is going to have to work for it again, as he did last year in this race, as he's done in most of his big races, particularly in the last 12 months. There's been draws against them, there's been patterns against him. But champions do what champions do and they overcome it.
He's won an incredible 17 races since he won the race by Betcher last year, but he's been beaten half a dozen times. Hunter Cup by Swayze, Shepparton Cup by Kingman, Black's a Fake, Don Hugo got him, and the Janitor nearly got him. Obviously a New Zealand Cup by Kingman, Victoria Cup the same, and he got beaten by in a Smokin' Up sprint as well. Look, that will give some of his rivals heart, Brittany, but he is such a great horse. We know where he's likely to be. I don't think he'll get the front. He'll be outside whoever is there, likely to be Swayze. And if that happens, it could turn into a war. But he proved last year, I'm still absolutely adamant, his performance to win this race last year was his career best.
And I think his lead-up, Greg, this year has been even better. 9 starts this season for 7 wins and 2 minor placings, including this 2 starts ago where he was 3 wide around Menangle for the first 600 metres of a Miracle Mile. It's just mind-blowing to think that he was then able to, when under sufferance from serious horses, ward them off once more. Subsequent to this win, he's been back to Albion Park, which is exactly what he did this time 12 months ago, and he's won comprehensively. And he's won in the quickest last court he's ever recorded of 26-1. So there's some sense that maybe he's going better now than then. So, I mean, from his draw, Greg, he's going to have to work really hard again. But I went back and watched his performance 12 months ago. He was 3 wide for the first 800 metres of that contest last year. Could he do the same again? Will he have to do the same again? Maybe.
The other most significant thing about what he just did there in the Miracle Mile, Matthew, was he ran past Swayze, which he hasn't been able to do. When Swayze's been in front of him on the markers, he hasn't been able to do that. He comprehensively did that over the shorter course, which I think, again, is pretty important.
You're thinking he's probably going to have to be 3 wide, at least for the first maybe 1,000 metres?
Well, it depends how many of those drawn to his inside want to get ahead of him to hopefully find his back. Is that Republican Party, Merlin, We Walk by Faith? If they all go forward, he could be wide for quite some time. So whether Grant just presses on anyway or tries to find some cover while he moves around. One thing we know last year is once he got there, there was no respite.
All right, have you got anything else to add on him? Are you thinking he's a winning chance, but as I said, just going to have to work for it, isn't he?
Oh, he's going to have to do and be what Larry is, and that's an absolute champion. But if he performs like he did up to the standard of last year, he can absolutely win it again.
All right, and I love the fact that you bring up about that Albion Park race, and we spoke off camera before the show about if he had a speedometer on him at Albion Park, it's probably never gone faster in his career.
Well, he was so sharp, and I think those couple of mile races at Menangle have really switched him back on again, which is important for a 2,200 metre race around Cambridge. He'll need to be dialed in from start.
As he was last year, 2:33.5 on a sloppy track. Pretty decent. All right, one horse who definitely needs to improve off his Miracle Mile run is Kingman. He is the IRT New Zealand Trotting Cup winner. He couldn't get past Swayze in the Miracle Mile. He has been back to the trials after what could be said was a fairly dour run there, Brett.
He has been back to the trials, and it was and has been an on-again, off-again campaign for him, which is somewhat concerning for mine. Immediately post the Miracle Mile, he wasn't coming, but he's managed to get here, and that trial was basically the deciding factor on whether he was coming or not. I've watched it a couple of times. I probably would have loved to see him finish hard on the helmet in front of him. There was a little bit of separation between he and his stablemate, but the fact is, what he did in the New Zealand Cup, and even what he did in the Hunter Cup earlier this year, Greg, after getting checks, was phenomenal. Maybe he has the most potential of any horse in this race to do something ridiculous because he's done it on a couple of occasions and he's beaten Swayze and Leap to Fame on a few occasions as well. So he's ticked off a few of the big guns. In saying that, that draw just looks nasty and sometimes his racing manners let him down. I'm not sure he can afford to hang like he does around Cambridge.
Yeah, it's incredible what he produced on IRT New Zealand Cup Day, and I can't get that out of my head because he had no right to come around the entire field and sit outside this great horse Leap to Fame and run past him. And he didn't just run past him, he ran away and hid. This was a stunning performance. When he wasn't coming, I thought that's a real shame for the race. 2 days after the Miracle Mile, a change of heart. Where you get your confidence from is the bloke sitting in the bike. He is no dill. He came last year with Don Hugo and he got out-muscled. He was able to get that horse back in winning form and beat Leap to Fame and the Blacks of Fake. If he can turn this horse back, the clock back to November and produce him at Cambridge on Friday night, the fact that he's bringing him gives me a bit of confidence. He's raw, he's got all the talent in the world. If there's a war in front of him, he'll be the benefactor.
Be a good party if McCarvey gets on.
Absolutely. We saw how much a New Zealand Cup meant to him, and this may mean even a little more considering that it's been a checkered path. But he's going to have to be at his brilliant best. In saying that, probably one thing I did want to note on Kingman is he does seem to run his best races actually away from Menangle. He was beaten fair and square in a Len Smith Mile late last year before he came over and won a New Zealand Cup. And again, through that Miracle Mile Carnival, he probably wasn't at his best. So maybe we'll see an even better version of him once he jumps on that plane.
The Janitor, runner number 10, he doesn't look as though he's the most straightforward horse, Brett. I understand he can be a little bit of a handful and they have to kind of handle him a little bit with kid gloves, but they're doing a pretty good job at it.
And this is a perfect barrier draw for him. I can understand why the market has reacted favourably to that barrier draw, because if he'd drawn one or two, it would have meant that Pete McMullen had no choice but to try and hold his position. And to be honest, Greg, at this point of his career, the Janitor is better just kept in his comfort zone. I think following a helmet out at the start and the helmet of Swayze, who'll be really chugging through there, is a real positive. The fact that he's had a look at Cambridge as well is a massive tick for mine. He didn't handle that last bend well at all last week and still somehow managed to set a new track record doing it all wrong. He'll be much improved. It wouldn't surprise me if they tinkered with his gear a little bit as well post that. So I think we'll see an even better version on Friday night.
Yeah, I spoke to Chantel on Sport Nation on Sunday's show, and she said we'll definitely be playing around with his gear because that last bend probably cost him half a length. Right about here, Merlin had him on toast. But when he straightens up and Pete really asks him to stretch, he's the new kid on the block, but he is a serious commodity. Everyone got to see this last week. You and I have seen it a number of times at his home track at Albion Park. He was fantastic in the Miracle Mile. I even think if he was held up for another 100 metres, he may have got Leap to Fame for speed. He has a devastating finishing burst. So often he's up on the speed because of his rare talent. He's a big, big player, but I am with Michael. $3 is really short for him.
I agree. Just one other thing to note, I think, on the Janitor is as much as he set a new mark at the short course last week, Matt, the 2,200 metres is going to be far better for him. It just gives him that extra 400 or 500 metres to get into some rhythm early on. And one thing Pete McMullen is not afraid to do with this horse, and which is not easy to do, is pull out a good 600 or 700 metres from home and let him wind up because he can sustain his speed for a long time.
Jeff Gibson-Smith actually was the agent for the Janitor, who he obviously put the phone call out to Pete and Chantel, but not only for the Janitor but for Gus as well. So bit of kudos to you, Jeff. It's a pretty remarkable sort of feat to be able to get your eye on one horse who had never had a race day start and another horse, and Gus, who had had 2 starts for only a maiden win, and they've both turned into pretty decent commodities. So that's a nice little tick on your CV. Let's move on to Swayze. He's going to have the barrier draw to work with, gate number 2. We've heard, Greg, from Brad Hewitt that the lead is only going to be there for one of 2 horses, Swayze or a Leap to Fame. Are you feeling, though, it's Swayze who gets there?
Probably. I think he's got a comparable amount of early speed to Leap to Fame, and he's obviously got a far better barrier draw. Don't get things wrong here. This is a great horse. He's won 2 New Zealand Cups, 2 Hunter Cups, a Victoria Cup. He's beaten Leap to Fame in a Black Safake, albeit controversial circumstances with Leap to Fame's wheel getting punctured. However, he's still beaten him on a number of occasions. Brittany, he's a seriously good horse. Is he as good as what he was when he won both of those cups? Well, you're probably going to say before he did this in the Hunter Cup, maybe not. But when he reproduced this, he's not at the end of his career yet.
This was only, 8 weeks ago? I know that he was playing in the Miracle Mile, but when he's drawn one in the past and he's really had to burn in that first 50 metres, he's been susceptible. Amazingly, most horses want to draw one. His team probably want to draw 2, and that's what he's come up with. And the one thing about Swayze is, and we've seen it with our own eyes on several occasions, he is a phenomenal stayer. And what we've learnt about the race is it's a 2,300 metre staying contest, Matt, because they run from start to finish. And if they go a similar time to last year, where there is absolutely no point for back off, then that's going to play into Swayze's hand. Cam Hart will have one job, and that's to stay in front of Leap to Fame and make him work to get outside of him. I think he can do it.
It's not a race won by speed, is it?
No.
It's heart, stamina.
They were absolutely all out last year at about the 800 metre mark. So if that's the same case again this time around, which I think it could be, it's going to play into Swayze's hands.
Captain's knock, barrier 1, Brett, and I just get the sense that there's a bit of fire in the camp. Even at $18, they feel like they're a chance, and I can see why, because he maps to get a pretty sweet run, and he put up a couple of pretty decent points, did Brad Hewitt, around this horse that you know well, obviously following the Australian stuff a little more than I would, but he's a proper good horse, this.
He sure is. He's won $830,000 in 27 races, and he's done it since he was a juvenile as well. He's probably just found himself in the wrong era, having to chase Leap to Fame around. But he's coming into this off the back of that Carnival of Cups campaign, which wasn't smooth sailing, and we've spoken about that many times. But he probably has that little bit more experience on, I want to say, tighter turning tracks than a few of his rivals in recent times. One is a huge advantage. My one little query, Greg, with him is that how much work does he have to take advantage of gate number 1? Because as we've heard from Brad, he doesn't just want to hand up to the first horse who is there, and that means that he may have to work for a little longer.
Yeah, I think he will, because Merlin will come out. There's no point in him not getting off the gate as hard as he possibly can and try and get to the markers. This was the race that he could have won the $1 million and didn't quite happen for him. He was very brave, and you've heard what Brad's had to say. He believes he'll be a better horse. He did run second in the Shirley Turnbull behind Donegal Luther, beating Swayze. So he can beat a good horse. He's been at the highest level, as you say, right through age group racing. He's a very, very good horse, and the massive advantage he has, Matthew, is he's got barrier 1 around Cambridge that is paved in gold. If he sits in the trail, he has a first 4 prospect at least.
That's the Australians' pretty good crew, that it is. After this, we will bring it back home. We'll talk a bit of Kiwi.
Homeward bound in the race by Grins for 2023. Copy that Old Town Road Akuta. Here's Self-Assured. The big gun's about to fire. Melita, copy that. Old Town Road. Self-Assured down the outside. It's Copy That though. Copy That. He adds the race by Grins to his already magnificent CV, and Copy That.
Obviously it's a prestigious race now, and it's worth a bit of money, and it's really wrapped for the horse and all the connections. He's been through a lot. He's gone a lot of great races and won me a lot of big races, and yeah, just got full admiration for the horse. He can just stand up and deliver whenever we need him to.
Greatness doesn't begin at the finish line.
It's going to be a miracle three-peat.
It starts here in the quiet of dawn, passed down through generations. You don't find greatness, you raise it every single day.
Meant to be, you'll get the derby. Big win for the Road Cup. Better Twist, what a champion she is.
Brecon Farms, where world-class families create elite performers.
Green lights, the race by Grins 2024 underway. Don't Stop Dreaming with explosive gate speed comes out with Merlin, Kango and Mark Shard. We'll wait the TFS Horse Transport passing lane with Merlin in the 1-1. 30 seconds was that second quarter, so she got a cheapie there, Nat in front. They come for home, and Don't Stop Dreaming been asked for full ball, leads by a length and a half. Here's the magical Merlin after Don't Stop Dreaming. Can go back on the inside, and then Old Town Road. Merlin goes to Don't Stop Dreaming. Merlin, Don't Stop Dreaming really digs in, but the magic of Merlin, he's got the race by grins. Merlin beats Don't Stop Dreaming, photo third.
What about this horse? We used to call him a little horse. He's a tank.
He's a beast. What a thriller. Might be too early to say it, but that'd probably near on be my biggest thrill in racing so far.
Welcome back to the box seat. Michael Guerin is at Cambridge. Michael, we're about to chat Kiwis in the Race by Sport Nation. Fair bit of confidence coming from Brad Hewitt when you spoke to him before.
Yeah, remarkable to be so blunt. I'm not going to hand the lead to one of the New Zealanders. Let's go talk to one of the people who might be trying to get that lead off him. Here is, as we're starting, the boxing starting. Hello, Phil Chiefers. You're not driving this race, are you? Zach Butcher is.
I don't want to ruin it.
Hey, Brad Hewitt saying he won't be handing the lead to Merlin or any of the New Zealanders. So what are you thinking? Do you go off the gate as people expect you to, or do you go off the gate, try and sit parked and wait for Leap to Fame to get you and get us back?
That's a bit stink, Brad. Why is he
brutal,
talking like that? That's real fighting talk, isn't it? Far out. Look, we'll just have to, I think, play it by ear. I don't think you can throw all your eggs in one basket. Obviously, we'll have a plan before we go out, but it is a big race and you're there to win it. So I don't think we'll be pulling back.
You sat in the 1-1 to win the race a couple of years ago. Sitting on the back of Lowry might be the best place in the race to be?
I'd probably be the perfect place. Just seeing the way the track was playing last week, I think the fence is going to be ideal. Swayze, he's a big rock in between us. You know, what's their camp thinking? Do they want to hold park? I don't know. Like, off a brief look at it, it's a hard race to read, especially that first 400 or 500. But as the week progresses, hopefully we can figure out a plan.
I'll put it point blank to you. If you do send Merlin, can he cross those two inside him?
Well, can't see why not. You know, I do know they're quick, and it's probably harder to cross them beside them. But when we have lit him up, which hasn't been often, he has shown some real quick gate speed. So it's something you're going to know in the first 50 metres. And if you feel like you're going to get there, just handlebars down, team.
Well, then there's another question following up to that, Zachary. If you did get there, do you stay in front with a nice, big, strong horse like him these days? Or do you look for the back of a Leap to Fame or a Swayze?
You're asking a lot of questions,
I'm getting paid to ask questions by the word, so keep with me, brother.
There's too many questions. I've got to keep something away from the press, but you know me, I've always read races as I'm out there and I'm driving in them, so depends on tempo, depends on who's coming first, but yeah, we'll figure out a plan without letting you know too much early.
Okay, you can tell them on trackside on Friday night. Come with us, guys. We're going to go back over here because Hayden Cullen's here, so come on, Dylan's the cameraman. So, Dill, get out of the way, Tommy. We want to talk to Hayden. Just Tommy Thompson's in the way here. Greg O'Connor's mate. Hey, Hayes. Sort of an awkwardish kind of draw because you're not one or the other, are you?
Well, that's right, Mick. Yeah, it's probably not what we wanted, but hey, we know they're going to go hard from start to finish, so we'll just sort of tuck in somewhere and find the shortcuts and hopefully get running on at the finish.
The sectionals were good last week. Were you happy with the horse?
Really happy with him, Mick. You know, yeah. First start up here, he went super, I thought, and he really chewed up the line nicely last start, you know, so a step up in distance won't hurt him, and as long as they go hard, well, I think it'll really suit him.
Hey, by the way, you've been looking after Kai Valley Ray, who's in the 3-year-old trot. How's he going?
He seems really well, Mick. Yeah, couldn't fault him, to be honest. We tried him 2 weeks ago, and yeah, happy where he's trotting. I thought if he gets off the gate nicely, well, he's going to be a good chance of winning on Friday night, sorry.
Who's the horse to beat in the Race by Sport Nation?
Oh, it has to be Leap to Fame, I think. Look, he's just a superstar, you know. Doesn't matter what gets chucked at him, you know, he still finds plenty at the finish. So if we can run second to him, we'll be pretty happy.
Okay, that's Hayden Cullen. Let's go to Hayden Cullen's ex-training partner, come with me, Dill, and his former boss, Mark Purdon. So Mark's one of the two people in this room who have driven the winner of this race. We're going to interrupt this conversation with Paddy Lee. Sorry, Marcus, we're going to have a quick chat to you here. We'll get to you later on, Paddy. What do you make of a Cooters barrier draw? Greg O'Connor was suggesting it may not be a bad thing being on the markers, not doing any work. Is that how you feel?
Yeah, I do, Mick. And last year I was telling Charlie Hunter that I drew one with Chase the Dream on the second line. And, of course, with Leaps of Fame there and Swayze there as well, it'll be a stayers race. So the gaps will probably come. And I think just on his form, he's got to be taking the shortcuts.
Is he going good enough, Mark? Is he going well enough? Is the Cooter racing well enough to be a top 3 factor here?
Well, after last week, I think he's on the way back. It's just whether he's there or not. But, you know, I felt with the time they went last week, he had a good run, admittedly, and, you know, he needs to be better. But I think the run will have improved him.
You know the two big guns really well, Swayze versus Leap to Fame. If Swayze's in front of Leap to Fame, can you beat him, or is it always advantage Larry?
Oh, look, both great horses, and of course, you know, if they go to war and Pete McMullen's sitting back doing nothing, you know, you'd have to respect him as well. But I think overall the Aussies are going to take a lot of beating.
Okay, let's head across to Scott Phelan. He's the co-trainer of Better Knuckle Up. Scotty, how are you, brother? But you've got Merlin in the race. We've heard from Zach on him. He has no idea what he's going to do. Better Knuckle Up, I suppose the draw is not a disaster because it's similar to the New Zealand Cup. Hope they go hard. Hope you can make ground late.
Yeah, no, exactly right. It's probably a pretty decent draw for him, really. So got the right man on the bike, so we'll see what he can do from there.
Okay, and soon the better's not in the race, but if he did get in, I think he's racing in career best form. I don't think I've seen him go better.
No, look, he is, and Harrison gets along good with him, so I suppose you drive him. So, yeah, look, he is racing good, but if he gets his chance, he'll make his presence felt anyway.
We're asking all our experts, and we know people love Lowry. Is Leap to Fame always just the horse to beat because he's Leap to Fame, or up against the marker pegs over 2,200, does Swayze become the horse to beat?
No, I think Leap to Fame's probably always the horse to beat. He done it last year, and you know, you can't put it past him any time.
Okay, one more to go. Stick with us because the reigning horse of the year is, of course, Republican Party. He finished last year in the lead-up last week, which is hardly ideal, but Crandale Goodie's still a little bit confident. So, Cranford, come in here for a second. We've got you on TV. How are you, bro? You going well?
I'm on fire. I'm ready to go. I've drawn 4, so what do I do?
Okay, the horse ran last week, which is not very good for a horse of the year, but you weren't unhappy. Tell us why.
Well, the fractions, when you do the mathematics of this race nowadays, we've probably gone as quick as the horse that's run 3rd or 4th, but run 7th. So when you look at the result, you think, oh, no. But that's just the way modern competition of racing is.
People like to speed map races. I do not know what's going to happen here. What do you think's going to happen here for Republican Party? Because can you go forward enough to get into an easy running line, maybe in that wonder spot behind Leap to Fame?
It's actually quite a scary number for us because, as we know, they're all trying to get behind whoever the best horse is on the front line. So we could be left on a bit of a wing, but I'll leave that responsibility to Dakota.
Is this Republican Party going as well as the Republican Party who pushed the two favourites close in the Hunter Cup, not just 6 weeks ago, but also last year?
He seems really good at the moment. I will say 2 starts ago, he was a little percentage down. Just when you're on tour, there's little bugs and sort of bacterial things that do get round. You never sort of pick them up 100%, but you just got to let them ride through the scene and come back to their full health. And he's in full health now.
You and your son and driver Carter have a unique perspective on what could happen here on Friday night. The last 2 Hunter Cups, you've sat on the marker pegs, this time in the trail, behind Swayze who led, with Leap to Fame outside him. That could well be the case for those two this week. Swayze leads, Leap to Fame outside. Both times Swayze won. If that scenario unfolds here in the race by Sport Nation on Friday night, who do you think will win?
Very good question. Swayze's a horse. We probably could have written him off 2 years ago. I think he's done too many miles, too many races, but he is still as good as ever.
So he becomes the horse to beat if he leads. Is that what you're telling us here on the Box Seat Preview Show?
No doubt, because he just does not lie down. Even our little fellow Republican, we've got close to him several times, or get to his girth, but he will not take. He just doesn't want to get beaten, and that's what could happen again.
Good luck on Friday.
Thanks, man.
So, Matt, plenty of opinions here at Cambridge Raceway. People leaning towards Swayze being the big challenger to leap to fame, as we mentioned earlier. That could see not the chances of the janitor dismissed, but of course his place in the market may be replaced by Swayze. Lots of interesting comments here around what people are expecting to see in the race by Sport Nation.
I'll tell you what it's doing. It's making me want to get there sooner rather than later, Greg, and be a part of it. We can head straight to you to talk about Merlin. He ran 2:35.1 when he won this back in 2024. Might have to go a little bit faster here, but one thing you know, Zach's confident. Barry and Scotty have got the polish on. He might need a couple of things to go his way, but on his day, he's one of our best.
Yeah, he is. He's been beaten in his last two. The Lazarus Effect, very, very fast horse. Sooner the better. Terrific short course horse, and obviously the janitor got him the other night as well. I think this is go time for him. He's got to light him up off the gate. He's got to try and get to the markers. If he does that, he has an absolute first four chance here. Zach has a tremendous record in the race. He's been placed a couple of times outside of when he won it with Merlin, so you're not going to lack for the driver's skill there. And this run in the New Zealand Cup was very good. And go back last year in this race, he was all out at the 800, Brittany. He was so brave. Actually, in this race, we both thought, man, he's going to burst through here and win this. He just sort of came to the end of it.
The
2200 metres is almost his sweet spot, in my opinion.
Yeah, it sure is, and we saw that 2 years ago and again last year. In saying that, probably my one little concern was last year I thought he had a perfect trip to get close to them, and this year's edition is stronger again, and I think remarkably they could go faster again. In saying that, he's followed a very similar path this year to what he has the last couple of years, where he's ran so very well. Zachary will go out there with a few plans, but if he's coming off the gate to try and find the fence, he'll do it with venom, because he can't be half there or half not. He's either getting there in the first 50 metres, or he's happy to work across and try and conserve some energy for late on in the piece. He's an absolute star, Matt. There's absolutely no doubt about that. And what I love about how Zachary Butcher drives him is he will be so switched on to maybe saving a length here or a length there. We saw it only a couple of weeks ago at Alexandra Park. He's not afraid to make a outside of the square move with this horse if he thinks it's going to pay off.
Better Knuckle Up deserves his place on what he's done. We know he's a pretty capable horse, won the Velocity, and his New Zealand Cup run outside of the top three home, he just kept coming. He whacked away all day long. It was a cracking effort.
Well, that's when we knew he's up and with these horses. A fourth in a New Zealand Cup from where he was placed is a serious, serious performance. He's much better suited to mobile conditions as well. We know that. And as much as he probably didn't want to be off the outside of the second row, Greg, from a 3 or 4 position, he would have maybe been in an even more awkward spot. He gets the services of Tony Hurley. He's a new kid on the block, there's no doubt about that, but he can only be driven one way. And maybe that's the one way that this race can be won.
Yeah, and I think the crucial part that you mentioned there was he's being driven by our greatest and most winning driver of all time, and Tony Hurley. His run in the New Zealand Cup was stunning. He was very good in this, I thought, as well. Battled on really solidly. He's good enough to fill a first 4 spot, provided it's breakneck speed, but he won't be able to go round them, Matthew. If they're out in their hands and knees, he'll keep finding the line.
Cranbring brought up a really good point when we just heard to him then. You can be running 7th, running the same sectionals as the second horse, and you're just getting nothing. Such is the way of our racing, and Friday night's probably going to be very similar. Speaking of Cran and Chrissy and Carter Dalgetty have Republican Party. And interesting to hear Cran's assessment of that. I've been quick to say that maybe he's not going as well as what he had been, but you look at the clock and sometimes the clock doesn't lie.
54.26.6, his own closing sectionals last week off the fence. I'm not sure his little legs could go a whole lot faster. I think his performance, despite running at the tail of the field, he couldn't have gone a whole lot better. But I do concur with Cran that 4 is a tricky spot. He drew in a similar position last year and he did a lot of work to get somewhere that turned into nowhere once horses kept coming around, and maybe something similar can play out. In saying that, He's mixed it with Leap to Fame and Swayze and all of these types for a couple of years now, Greg, and if any time it's going to be now, hardened at this top level. And again, on this occasion, there was a sniff of, is he going to get there? He fell just short, but he's been New Zealand's top pacer for the last 18 months, and there's no way around that.
He's a 6-time Group 1 winner, and he went very close to Leap to Fame in that New Zealand free-for-all. He's been a great horse for the connections. The position he finds himself on the front row, I think it could work out really awkwardly for him. But I'm not going to underestimate him. You're absolutely right, Brittany. He's been our best for a while.
One horse who is likely to go back and do no work and have one crack at them as we walk by faith. Is he a realistic top 4 chance, Greg, if he does no work and they go hammer and tong up front and Blair can save him up for that last 150?
I talked to Blair earlier in the week about what would be an ideal barrier draw, and he said, well, you know what I want. I want barrier 1. I want the shortest way home. He needs to be in on the markers, do no work and just have one run at them, as he did last time at Auckland in the City of Auckland freefall. He was really rapt with them last week. He said he did exactly what he hoped he would do. Where's he going to get to from this draw, though?
It's not ideal, is it? But I guess it kind of puts Blair in a position where maybe he just has to drive for absolute luck and save up that speed, because we know he's probably as fast as any horse, and this was on display this night only a few weeks ago where he was climbing all over their backs over the concluding stages. And maybe what's in his camp is that this is a race full of very strong stayers. Maybe he is the speed element in the contest, but my one little concern, Matt, is that if this race is run like we expect and it's hammer and tong from start to finish, maybe it does take the sprint out of the sprinters a fraction.
They still run home in 27 and a bit, though, don't they? Even though they look all out, they'll run that third quarter in 26.9, come home in 27.9. You still have to be so fast. You can't be fast when you've got nothing left in the
Leap to
tank.
Fame last year went 28.2. It was the slowest quarter of the last quarter. So, yeah, you're right, though. He is by better's delight, so he's pretty tough. So I think he can handle it.
Even still, 28.2, if you're 5 lengths off the top of the straight, you've got to run home at 27.2 just to kind of get level. So, so much intrigue. One horse who is dictated to by the barrier draw, though, is Akuta, who has the inside second row draw, follows out Captain's Knock. And you would imagine, Greg, Mark Purdon would be happy to sit on Brad Hewitt's helmet the whole way and just hope for a bit of luck.
Well, if what Brad says comes to fruition, this horse sits 3 deep on the fence. That's exactly what he needs. Look, he's only won a couple of races in his last 18. If we go back to 2023, he was the star of New Zealand pacing. He finished second in the New Zealand Cup and behind Swayze. He's had his injury problems. Sectionally, Brittany, he was actually okay last week. You couldn't knock what he did either, and he kept fighting to the line. This is the draw he needed.
It sure is, and it's probably even better than 1, because from 1 you have to stride out to hold a position from the inside of the second row draw. Don't get me wrong, there'd still be a few eyeing off the back of Captain's Knock if it's potentially there, but it's probably not quite to the same level. But he's a star. He's won $1.2 million, and one major factor for him, Matt Cross, is his trainer and his driver. He knows how to peak one for a grand final.
Does he? Do you reckon?
I think so.
I agree. I think he does too. Yes, many times, Mr. Mark Purdon, one of our greats. Great to see him on track there at Cambridge Raceway tonight. Brittany, your top 4?
I always try to go around Leap to Fame because he looks the obvious, and maybe it's the Queensland bias coming out in me, but I just think the form that he is in right now is maybe as good as we've ever seen, and even though he's going to have to be at his very best again on Friday night, I expect him to be so, and he could be a little bit too strong for Swayze, who, as we've mentioned on many occasions already tonight, has beaten Leap to Fame under similar circumstances on 3 occasions. It's a perfect draw for the janitor. I just hope he doesn't cop too much of a shuffle, and I'm throwing in Akuta for first 4s. The fence is where you're going to want to be, and that's where he will find himself.
For me, I never try and go around Leap to Fame. He's number 1, numero uno. He has to be on top in this race. I'm going to surprise a few. I've got Kingman in my top 2. I'm just putting a lot of confidence in Luke McCarthy. He would not be here unless he believed he was a significant winning chance. If he's got this horse right, he has a big part to play in it. The janitor showed us all last week, and everyone now knows. And Swayze's going to be in the fight throughout. I wanted to find a spot for Akuta. I wanted to find a spot for Captain's Knock. It'll be a real first 4 race if you want to play around those sort of horses for 4th, but that's my top 4 anyway, Matt.
I went Australian, top 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. I thought you'd be the only one to go the Aussie top 4, Brittany Graham. But anyway, I'm not biased. I think Leap to Fame, absolutely. Swayze, the janitor, and Captain's Knock isn't going to have to go around a horse either. He's a great top 4 chance. We're going to chat the TAB Trot very shortly here on the box seats as we head to a break. Let's reminisce from 12 months ago.
Queen Elida down the outside, Muscle Mountain. There followed the locomotive RC Phoenix, Muscle Mountain. Queen Elida's on the TFS Horse Transport passing lane, finishing strongly. RC Phoenix in front. Queen Elida tries very hard, but RC Phoenix for the TAB Trot of 2025.
You don't even have to do too much. You can tell me.
Yeah, it's amazing to come to New Zealand. Been watching these races here for a long time, so it's great to come and win a good one.
Greatness doesn't begin at the finish line.
It's going to be a miracle three-peat.
It starts here in the quiet of dawn, passed down through generations. You don't find greatness, you raise it every single day.
Meant to be, you'll get the derby. Big win for the Road Cup. Better Twist, what a champion she is.
Brecon Farms, where world-class families create elite performers.
Away she goes, Keayang Zahara. 30 seconds to third quarter. She opened up by 4 from Father Time. Tyrone Eros, and then came Paramount Kiwi. It's Keayang Zahara inside the 100 metres. She's well clear from Father Time. But in the inaugural running of the Ascent, Keayang Zahara, she is the chosen one. Keayang Zahara clicked up to clear Princess Sadie, then Aspirational Dream and Freya, but it's Keayang Zahara inside the 100 metres. The Oaks is all over. Raise your glass and honour the lady. Keayang Zahara, 13 from 13, won it by 4 lengths from Princess Sadie. Jason Lee, he's taken the handbrake off, and Keayang Zahara put a half a dozen on them. Father Time, Empire City, then came Look to the Stars with 100 metres to go. She won the Ascent, she won the Oaks, and now she'll top it off with the Derby. A thrilling treble. Keayang Zahara, we salute you. Oh, she's brilliant. She's dominant, she's fast, she's just the perfect racehorse, isn't she, Keayang Zahara? And she's going to go around as the warm order in this year's TAB Trot. We'll take a quick look at the market before we head back to Michael. She's 105. Matt Markham didn't promise that there'd be a Keayang Zahara market out, but I reckon there will be. I think we're a chance. $15 Belneige off the inside draw, Jillaby Ballerini at 15, and poor old Gussie got the outside, the visitors draw at $12. Let's take you back to Cambridge, linking back in with you, Michael.
Trying, it's great to have the family horse in the race. Horse in the race. Here's Mark Purdon. Hello, Marky. We'll go back again. Mark's talking to, of all people, can you believe it or not, Joe Fesser's man, who of course won the Inter-Dominion. So isn't it great to see some of our old mates here from overseas?
Yeah, it's great, Mick. Yeah.
Okay. Talking about old mates, Oscar Bonavina. What's up with old mate? Because he really shouldn't be galloping at his age, Marcus.
No, he shouldn't. And Tony talked about changing his shoe, Tony Shaw, and I said, crikey, at his age, he should be trotting in gumboots.
Are you confident enough to drive him off the gate on Friday night and put all your eggs in that basket, as you did last year, and you got no eggs back? Or do you have to hold on to him?
No, you've really got to be careful with him, Mick, and there's only 8 in it, so he's not going to be far off him if he stays on his feet.
Can he beat Keayang Zahara? Because we know Oscar's probably the only horse in the race as quick as her, but can he actually give her a start and run past her?
Look, I'd be happy to run second to her, but honestly, if he had his opportunity, I'm sure he would push her.
Okay, mate, good luck on Friday.
Thanks, mate.
Okay, from Mark Purdon to another Purdon-esque type person, of course, Barry, his brother, trains meant to be. Scott is here once again, having a burger. What's the overs and unders on how many burgers that Zach Butcher's had? Zach's had about 4.
I haven't had any.
Zach's had 4 though. Is it true?
4 servings. 4 servings, yeah.
Okay, what about meant to be? Because the draw hasn't been kind to you, but I suppose he's still at a learning stage, and whatever he does this year, he's going to be better in everything next year.
Yeah, no, exactly right. As Barry said, it'll hold him in good stead for the future, and having those good hard racing, he'll need it coming up for the end of the year. So look, he's a good horse in the making, and can't wait to see what he does.
What's a good result for him on Friday night?
Oh, look, I think if he run top 3 or 4, I think we'd be pretty wrapped with that. Some fast horses in there, so especially that Keayang Zahara. I've seen it when it was over for that slot race, and it's some sort of horse.
Okay. That's Scott Phelan. Come on, Dylan, come with me. We're going to go back down the back here because we're off to see the Wallace-Hackett family. So some of them are called Wallace, some of them are called Hackett, and they've got Balneige. They didn't want to draw outside your right, Dale, because of the gate speed. Well, they've got barrier 1, so that works. Let's see. Who am I going to talk to from the Wallace-Hackett stable? Probably Michelle. Michelle's the boss. Come on, Mitch. How you going, buddy? You wanted to draw inside your right, Dale, because of her gate speed. You got barrier 1, so you got what you wanted.
Oh, absolutely, because I just think it'll be a race to be 3 deep the fence behind the other 2 because, traditionally Gilla Ballerini leads and then hands up to Keayang Zahara. So, it was just, in my opinion, it was just the best place to draw.
Okay, but would you not think that Crystal had the gate speed with Balneige to stay in front, hand to Keayang Zahara, and she can't hand up and you might get the trail?
Oh, hey, in the ideal world, but... we also be conscious that we don't want to fire up like we did last time. So, she'll go out with them, but we don't really want to fire her up and get her pulling again. We've spent a couple of weeks settling her back down and she's back where we want her. So, yeah, hey, you can't predict these things. What will be, it'll happen out there.
You've been involved with some great trotters in the past, but Keayang Zahara looks as good as almost anything we've seen, maybe away from Laurel Creek. Can you beat her? Can any of them beat her?
No.
Well, you'll be here and you'll be trying. It's great to have the family horse in the race.
It's just super to have a horse in the race, one that's good enough, and we're here. We're half Aussie, half New Zealand, aren't we? So we're going to put in both sides.
Well, the Kiwis have some different sort of chances, some options, but they're thinking maybe top 3s behind the Australians. We'll talk to them in a second.
Never say never, Michael. That's what I would say to the fellow competitors outside of Keayang Zahara. Is the racing game, and there are no certainties, but she's pretty close to being one, as the market would suggest. She's $1.05 for Grego. Keayang Zahara, you saw her when she came over here to the Addington Raceway. She's bigger, she's stronger, and she's faster now.
I was lucky enough to see her when she came to Addington Raceway for a look prior to lining up, and I was just blown away by her presence. She took that out, obviously, onto the racetrack, and she's gone on from there. She has the respect factor. That's the other main thing. Any of her rivals, Brittany, are going to know where she is the entire time the race is unfolding. She is the absolute benchmark, and we're just lucky enough to get to see her again.
You thought she was impressive 18 months ago, Greg. Wait until she steps out onto Cambridge on Friday night. She's bigger, she's stronger, she's smarter. She's got the all-round game now, as if she didn't before. This was her last start performance in the Hammerhead Trotters Mile, where she equalled the fastest time ever recorded in the Southern Hemisphere. When she's going along slow, she'd probably trot past and you wouldn't take any notice, but once she gets up to speed like this, it's nearly like she levitates and doesn't even touch the ground. Nigh on unbeatable, 28 starts, 27 victories. I think barrier 2 is perfect. And while she hasn't had a run for a month, she has been back to the trials at her home track of Terang to have a tick over, and she's probably had more of a grounding now, Matt, than she's ever had before. She's had 7 runs already this year. I went through all of the horses in the 2 features on Friday night and put together a pros and cons list, trying just to sort through them a little bit. And for about 5 minutes, I stared at a blank screen on the cons of Keayang Zahara because it's awfully hard to find any chinks in her armour. The 2 I came up with were her first look at Cambridge. Could it trip her up? Probably not, but I guess it was one little query. And the fact that she's had a little bit of mile racing recently, and in the past she's been a fraction susceptible to over racing. I don't foresee that being an issue, but it's all I could come up with against her.
Great, balanced journalism, I guess you could call it. That's why we got her on the show.
Is that the only reason? I think it's because she has a fair idea and she's shown it over the last 12 months multiple times. Hard to find anything to fault with this girl. I believe she could probably sit parked and it wouldn't matter, although both of us have a theory about what might be different about this race.
Stablemate, Jillaby Ballerini, we're going to move on to her now. Take Keayang Zahara out and, well, Jillaby Ballerini's probably in the same conversation as Keayang Zahara is, but there seems to be somewhat of a gap between them, Greg, at least from what we're seeing at Menangle and then obviously here back in Victoria as well. She's just so dominant against it.
Yeah, she's got a terrific record in her own right, but invariably it's been away from her illustrious stablemate. I know she's probably got the speed to go forward and have a crack early, but I do think you're right, Dale, will definitely be trying to get to that front spot first. That could just have Keayang Zahara sitting just off them, and then Jason has a decision, does he just sit there or does he try and go forward? And she's a big player in this Jillaby Ballerina. I don't think she's the second best in the race though, Brittany.
She has very good gate speed and she's naturally done that for the last couple of months. So I think she'll probably want to do the same again, and Glenn Craven may be in a position that he keeps her happier doing that. And I think they have everything to gain and nothing to lose by going forward on her. She's met her stablemate Keayang Zahara on 9 occasions. She's been beaten each and every time, but she has run second to her on 6 occasions. Maybe she can make it 7.
Move us on to the Queenslander, Gus.
He's a little star, isn't he? And he was absolutely phenomenal last week, I thought. That drone shot showed how significant of a check he received at about the 400-metre mark. And the Gus of 12 months ago probably would have blown to pieces when that happened, but he regathered himself, flattened out and ran an exceptional last 400 metres, 27.7 I think it was. And the 8-day turnaround, Greg, is really going to help him. He does very well, Gus. He doesn't miss a note, and the racing generally is to his benefit. I know the 7 draw looks ugly on paper, but he's spent so long out of the draw that I can't foresee them wanting to blast him off the gate anyway. But we've already spoken off camera post this barrier draw. I think Pete McMullen is in a situation where he presses on. He's likely to be outside the speed. Nobody else wants to be there. And he's a superior stayer. We saw it in the Dominion. Does he turn this into a staying contest and make Zahara earn it?
Well, that's the way that he can break her. If that is the way he can win the race, then that's what he has to do. What he did there, I know it's Johnny Hu in front of him, but he got pushed wide on the track, and you're right, he would have turned that up 12, 18 months ago. He finished 4th in the Inter-Dominion final. It was a stunning performance, and he just went on from there, obviously showed us what he could do at Addington. And the other night, he showed us his versatility has only continued to develop. He has a massive part to play in this race. He's clear second pick for me.
And I also think he will not only be better for fitness under his belt last week, but I didn't think he trot 100% early. I think having a look around Cambridge is also going to benefit him. The extra trip is much of the same, and I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do. But remember in an Inter-Dominion heat a couple of years ago, Chantel actually drove him, and he sat outside Queen Elida and served it up to her for the entirety of the 2100 metre contest. And I think it was at that point we thought, hang on, this horse is pretty good. I'd like to see a bit of the same.
Are you saying she should jump back in the bike?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, she's here. It's her absolute baby. Did you not hear on the promo she loves Gus more than she loves Pete?
Oh, I think Pete's doing a pretty good job, though.
Would be a story, though, wouldn't it? But maybe she'll relay the tactics to Pete to engage.
All right, good stuff. They are your Australians in the TAB Trot. After this, we chat the Kiwis.
I found my way to where you are.
And it's Call Me The Breeze, Just Believe on the outside. Queen Elida passing lane, Oscar Bonavina, Call Me The Breeze, Just Believe digging in on the outside, and Queen Elida, a dour struggle. Just Believe though, a true great in the trotting world in Australasia. And Just Believe, he'll get the TAB Trot.
For Jess and I to have a horse capable of coming over here and taking out a good race, it's just phenomenal. And as you say, 1, 2, 3, the Aussies, we've come so far.
Let's send a message to Jess. I know she'll be watching on Trot's Vision back home.
Well done, babe. We did it.
It's not hard to find love for the weekend, but I need something to stay. Yeah, give me a heart and I'll promise to keep it. Let's get carried away.
Great Greatness doesn't begin at the finish line.
It's going to be a miracle three-peat.
It starts here in the quiet of dawn, passed down through generations. You don't find greatness, you raise it every single day.
Meant to be, you'll get the derby. Big win for the Road Cup. Better twist, what a champion she is.
Brecon Farms, where world-class families create elite performers.
It's pretty exciting to have a drive Night of Champions and in the slot race. It's a race we've always wanted to be a part of since the start, and scary to be racing against Keayang Zahara because we all know how good she is, but it's a big thrill to be doing it with Mum and Dad.
It's just been amazing. We're just so proud of her.
Watching her come from Pony Club right through, it's been great.
Well, she's pretty competitive, and if she's as bossy on the track as she is around here, well, that's got to be a good attribute. We just love being able to have her to drive our team, and you know, and if we're all out in the track, it's a bit more competition, but 9 times out of 10 she beats us.
Lady McKendon and Crystal Hackett. Bernie Hackett with Flossie pops up on the outside, and then came Michelle Wallace with Aldebaran Watt, but it's daughter beating dad and mum in the last, and a big win, Lady McKendon.
It's quite good. I'm just happy that they were in behind me. They've both been super to me. It doesn't matter the result. They're both always happy. Obviously, it's better when we're winning, but they've been influential right from the get-go. They've given me a lot of opportunity that a lot of people don't get, and without them, I probably wouldn't be where I am.
Barrier number 1 for Belneage. You can catch that full story on trackside.co.nz and on our social pages. Belneage for the Wallace Hackett team, and Yabby Farms. Pat Driscoll will have barrier number 1. Plum barrier draw, Greg, as we have heard, she probably needs to settle. She got herself quite keen last time, but a run prior, when she sat outside meant to be and beat him, pretty sharp.
Yeah, it was very brave on that occasion. Showed us her good staying qualities. Definite concern last time. Getting fired up in a race like this will spell disaster for them. Although we just heard from Michelle, they're happy. They've got her back where they need her to be. I believe she will probably be neutral off the gate. That means she's likely to be 3 back on the fence. Brittany, I don't think that'll be the worst place to be.
I think it'll be a perfect position to be honest. And on this occasion, she beat basically all of her Kiwi rivals, and she did it the hard way as well. Outside of the speed for the entirety of that contest, she's going to be following the markers home here, which is a huge advantage. And to be honest, sometimes you'd rather have a horse between you and Keayang Zahara to try and tow you into the race and trying to be that horse to chase her down, because okay, say the scenario unfolds that Gus is outside Keayang Zahara and they're going hammer and tong, where you're chasing from start to finish, or even if Keayang Zahara is in front, I can't foresee Jason Lee holding up for a 200-metre dash at them, because she actually got a little bit funky in her gait when he tried to do that in the Great Southern Star. I'd expect it to be more of a roll-on. So 3 fence, perfect position for her.
Oscar Bonavina. Gee, it'd be a story and a half if he pulled this off. The now 10-year-old.
Yeah, it would be. 3-time New Zealand free-for-all winner, of course, winner of a Renwick Farms Dominion. Every time I go on a race course and you get to see this horse, it's an absolute privilege. It will be again on Friday night. This is likely to be his swan song. He's been such a great horse. Nothing to dislike about him. He's got a few tricks these days. He had Mark on a little bit last week and he still picked himself up and went a phenomenal race. He's just been an outstanding racehorse, and I'd love to see him go out on a winning note. I don't think he will, Brittany, but he showed here at Alexandra Park a couple of starts back that he still can get pretty close to them.
He sure can, and on this occasion was when he had one of those tricks where he made an early mistake and still finished this close. I really wanted to try and find a reason for last week's mistake. I couldn't, but what he did thereafter was phenomenal. I wish he'd just make life a little easier for himself and do everything right, because if so, he's drawn the best that he possibly could have in how the barrier draw has played out, and there's no doubt he's absolutely flying. It's start number 106 for Oscar Bonavina on Friday night, and at his 6th season of racing at this very highest level, he's been an absolute marvel, and there's no doubt he still has the speed to go with them.
Gregor mentioned at the start of the show around meant to be the kid who has now become a man, and I think that's a pretty fair statement.
Yeah, and I think that race we just watched was a clear example that he has arrived. He had to be the best in the Lyell Creek, and he absolutely was. I thought it might take him a season. It generally does, as a 4-year-old, become a transition year, but he's arrived. He wasn't in this race. Cullen Breeding needed a horse. I think they've made the right decision because it won't do him any harm, and he's got to harden up to this grade at some stage.
He has a phenomenal record when you break it down. 19 starts, 10 wins and 7 minor placings. He's just been so very good, but it is very early on in this transitional year of a 4-year-old. But what I've loved about his last few efforts is that he's shown he has versatility. At 2 and 3, he was a front of the field bully where he got out in front and just rolled, but he's proven that he is no one-trick pony in recent times. And coming in off the unruly as well, Matt, he does have some gate speed. I wonder if he's feeling big and bold behind the gate on Friday night, whether Zachary lets him roll out a little bit. He's giving away age and experience, but I think he'll be the biggest horse there on Friday night.
The horse you see sneaking up the inside there was, you're right, Dahl, who will start for Robert and Jenna Dunn. She's obviously drawn amongst the girls toward the inside out of barrier number 3. What does John Dunn do here? Brett, I guess he's kind of in a sort of a scenario. Does he mooch forward and hope something comes around and gets 1-1, or does he go back and end up 4 fence? Sort of bit of thinking to do for him.
Well, she went through that period late last year where she was making those mistakes, but touch wood, she's been a lot more solid in recent times. So I'm sure that gives the camp a little more confidence. And that run 2 starts ago, Greg, was huge in the Lyell Creek. She had no right to get as close as she did. She's an early season 4-year-old mare who's come an awfully long way, particularly in the last 12 months. But why not give her a roll of the dice here in this sort of contest? She's deserving of it, I think.
Spoke to John Dunn earlier in the week, and he said to me, if we don't have a crack, we may as well not be there. It'll be rolling forward. She will definitely be doing that. You mentioned what she cost to buy. She's done a magic job. She's a Group 1 winner. She's already worth a whole lot of money, Matthew. I see her getting to the markers first. That gives her a terrific first 4 chance.
I think it'll suit her as well when they go hard. She's a horse who likes it when they go hard, and she can just keep rolling. What do you got top 4 for us?
No surprises. I'm with Keayang Zahara on top. She really should be winning this race under all circumstances, but it's just going to be awesome to see her. The major danger for mine is Gus. I think he's a real deal. We've seen that particularly in the last 12 months, and what he did here Cup Week was absolutely no fluke, including Jillaby Ballerini, because she's most likely, in my mind, leaders back getting the run of the race, and I've included Oscar. You have to.
Yeah, no surprise. I'm with Keayang Zahara on top. Gus is the real deal. You're absolutely right, Brittany. He can for sure challenge her. If there is to be a horse to beat her, then it absolutely has to be him. Oscar's just a great horse. He's just a fantastic racehorse. I'd love to see him finish in the top 3 and finish out his career, and Jillaby Ballerini is the other logical.
Did she start favourite in the Dominion, Jillaby Ballerini? She did, didn't she?
Yes, she did. Yep.
Takes a pretty decent horse to warrant starting favouritism, so I'm going to have her right up the order as well, Jillaby Ballerini, but so hard to go past Keayang Zahara, Gus, Jillaby Ballerini and Belle Niche. Box seat boost for you. We're going to go away from both of our slot races, and we're going to head to the Sire Stakes semi-final. One horse who was close up at his most recent start was All-American player Anthony Butler-Trek North, $2.20 out to $3. You like that, Gregor?
Yeah, I do. Very unlucky in the Harness Million behind Jumel, who we get to see on Friday night as well, which is fantastic, taking on Got the Chocolates. But I like the boost. I really think it's a terrific play on Friday night.
Happy with that, Brett?
I like it. He's a lovely horse. He hasn't been all that far behind Jamal, so with him not there, yeah, I like it.
Matty Markham, talk to me, my friend. Have we got the Keayang Zahara out market? Have you been working on it?
Oh, just because you've been such a good boy over the last couple of weeks, Matthew Cross. Yes, there is a Keayang Zahara out market now available on the Futures tab on tab.co.nz. Jillaby Ballerini, the $1.80 favourite in that one. Jump on there to have a look. Those markets have shifted to the right race meeting now, so you'll find them under the Cambridge meeting on Friday night. Some extras for you, plenty to get your teeth into for Friday night. Brothers in Arms boosted Quinella, Early Crow, top 6 finish. Best finish by the Kiwi runners, and will the national record of 2:33.5 be broken. That's in the Race by Sport Nation. In the TAB Trot, Keayang Zahara winning margin, the early Crow. Favourite out market, which we've talked about, that's open now, and a best finish by the Kiwi train runners. And we'll have all the usual trimmings of a Friday Night Lights with that Friday feeling, the Friday Night Lights boost, among others. Looking forward to being there on course with you guys on Friday night. Just a bit of news too from the bookmaking desk, Matt Cross. Plenty of money coming in for Swayze. We're going to stay steady at $4.20 for the next 24 hours. So if you like that price, take it now, because he could be $3.50 by this time tomorrow night.
Love your work, Matt. Catch you on Friday. Michael Guerin, you enjoyed yourself there at Cambridge tonight?
Yeah, thanks, Matt. It's been a wet night, but a lot of fun here. As I said, the forecast is way better for Friday. It's going to be a massive one. What am I going for on top? Well, I'm not going to be very original. Keayang Zahara should win the trot. What's our best chance? Maybe Belnege sitting on the fence. In the pacing race, I'll go for Lowry, but in my mind and in my little calculating brain, Swayze's chances have improved about 20 or 30% with tonight's barrier draw. It's been great to talk to some of the really cool people in harness racing. Excellent show tonight, guys. I'll see you here for the Night of Champions, which I get a funny feeling, Matt, this Friday is going to be really well named.
Brilliant stuff. Thanks for that, Michael. Thanks to Greg O'Connor, Brittany Graham, Matt Markham and Michael Guerin. And thanks to you at home for watching this box seat special for your Night of Champions. We'll see you all on Friday.
Boosted odds on your favourite sports? You betcha. We've got boosted odds on select EPL, Champions League, NFL, NRL, cricket, UFC and basketball games all season long. Boosted odds mean bigger payouts. R18, bet responsibly.